Do you ever look out at your four-door saloon and think, man, I wish that had enough power to change the Earth's rotation? Well, you're in luck, because BMW was listening and has created a four-door version of its M8 Gran Tourer. Called the M8 Competition Gran Coupe, this four-door superweapon is the most powerful production car BMW has ever made and is designed to devour kilometers on Germany's network of Autobahn at 200 miles an hour. And you can bring 4 friends along with you for the ride. Now that sounds incredibly exciting, and I want to go out and have some fun in it. So let's go and review the M8 Competition Gran Coupe. Let's go over the numbers because they are gigantic. 4.4 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine, 616 brake horsepower, 750 Newton meters of torque, which is sent to all 4 wheels, and all at a cost of £124,000. No matter which one you go for, either the 2-door or the 4-door, all models come as competitions, and you can tell them apart because they have black badges. You also get gloss black highlights around the exterior, and you get the M Performance exhaust as standard. You also get these absolutely stunning 20-inch M Performance wheels. Before I get into the cabin, I just want to say apologies for wearing the mask. We're at a BMW event today. We're trying out lots of different cars with different people jumping in and out. So with COVID the way it is, while I'm in the car, I've got to wear a mask, unfortunately. But I hope you can hear me clearly. Anyway, this is such a beautiful place to be. BMW, in my opinion, does some of the best interiors on the market, blending luxury and performance really well together, and the M8 is just the epitome of that. So we've got leather around the steering wheel. It's one of BMW's chunkier steering wheels as well. I'm not really a fan of the thickness that BMW does their steering wheels, but this one actually feels not too bad. The top of the dash, we've got leather around there as well, and also down the sides of the center console. What isn't leather is either metal highlights or beautiful carbon, which we have just around here. There's also an M8 competition badge in the center console, just so you know that you're driving something with a serious amount of performance. Technology-wise, you've got an infotainment screen powered by BMW's iDrive 7, which is a really good infotainment software. Now, you just heard a bong because I use my hands quite a lot, and there are gesture controls in here, so you can basically turn your hand like this to increase the volume or decrease it. Other things to note are you've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. Hooking them up is dead simple, and there's also quite a lot of configurability as well, so if you want to change the weight of the steering, you can do that, and the same goes for the suspension. There's also a digital instrument cluster in front of me, so you can check out the sat nav while also monitoring your speed, and you are going to need to do that in the M8. 2 red buttons that stand out to you though are the M1 and M2 buttons, and they're configurable. So let's say if you wanted a more relaxed driving mode, you could press M1. And if you wanted to enjoy your favorite B road by having the most hardcore setting, you could program that to M2. If the driver's seat is taken, the place you'll want to be is in the back, because it is glorious back here. There's leather everywhere, and these seats are beautifully sculpted, so when you step in, you sink into the car. Headroom's not too bad. I'm 180 centimeters and I've got a little bit of play. I think if you're over 6 foot, you might have to sink a little bit to give yourself a bit more space, but you do feel very snug back here. Now, the driver's seat is in my position and I've got lots of legroom to go. So space isn't too bad. It could be a bit better, but if you're looking for something to seat people in comfort, an M5 is probably a bit more up your street. Now, you can put someone in the middle, but I don't really know why you'd want to, because not only is it incredibly narrow here, but you've got this massive center console which houses 2 USB-C chargers and the climate controls. So I would say only sit in the middle if you absolutely have to. If there's no one in the middle, you can pull down an armrest, and we've got 2 cup holders, and there's also a little tray to store, I don't know, an iPad maybe. It's very shallow, so it certainly won't take a chunky book. You can actually bring down the whole seat as well in case you want to go and buy some timber. You've also got ISOFIX points down here as well, and they're hidden behind these little leather caps. Most cars I go in have plastic caps that cover them up, and these leather ones just add to the M8 competition's luxury, and they magnetically close as well. Open up the boot, which is power assisted, and you'll find 440 litres of storage, which is actually smaller than what you get on an M5, and it's about 100 litres smaller than what you get on an Audi RS7. And the RS7 has a hatchback tailgate. But to be honest, boot space probably isn't going to be the biggest issue that you have with an M8 buyer. You have plenty of storage in there. If you want to get a couple of big suitcases in, they'll fit absolutely fine. And of course, you can lower the rear bench if you want to open up even more space. We don't have a lot of time with the M8 Gran Coupe today, but I thought I would share with you my first impressions. And while being in it for a while now, I've come to realise that it's very much at heart a Grand Tourer. I've got it in its most comfortable setting at the moment, and it's so quiet. Even when I put my foot down, you get a very gentle nudge in the back. It's not a shove, and there's a small burble as well of the V8 rumbling away, but it's very calm. Whoa! Ah, that is, wow. What a change in character. Okay, I've set up the N configurability so that M1 is the slowest and smoothest there is, and M2 is the most violent. And even with four-wheel drive, there is definitely a little bit of slip going on there. We're on some quite greasy roads, and they're a little bit muddy, and I don't think the roads are the only things that are a little bit muddy after that. Crikey. We're just going to do a quick launch. Okay, ready, and... oh my God. That's fast. But it doesn't feel violent, it's just surprising. It sneaks up on you, because I think it's a lot of the torque that really kicks in. It's that the initial shove is quite gentle. It still very much feels like a Grand Tourer, but it's when you get to about 4,000 RPM, it just really wakes up and keeps going. What I love about it as well is it completely changes the dynamics of the exhaust. So things become a little bit grumblier. It stops being this quiet, smooth and sophisticated Grand Tourer and just sounds angry and mean. That was half throttle and it's got my heart rate going. And you have those gorgeous Grand Tourer looks. I think that BMW struck a really nice balance with this. This car came in just before it started doing those really hideous grills. And so I think it's a much, much smarter looking thing than your new 4 Series or that M4, which, bless it, I can't wait to drive it, but it's certainly not a good looking thing at all. From a usability standpoint, it very much feels like a supercar too. You sit very low, the actual dash is very high, and you've also got quite a high bonnet line as well, so manoeuvring the car is pretty tricky. Okay, so let's be realistic. Would I have an M8 Gran Coupe competition? To be fair, I think I would want an M5 over something like this. You have very, very similar levels of performance. You have more practicality, and it's going to fit people more comfortably in the back. But if everyday performance isn't your thing, you want that hybrid of being a Grand Tourer and also feeling luxurious, but giving you the kind of performance that you would expect from an Audi R8, BMW has done a very impressive job with this. Very, very impressive. Yes, of course I want one. Good gravy, that really woke me up.